just thank everybody for coming out tonight. We started doing this a couple years ago, try to get all our paperwork done at the start of the year. And what we'll do is Stacy Latham, our trainer, who we're very happy to have on board with us again this year from Northeast Regional Sports Medicine, is going to start out by talking about concussions, just to make you aware. It's a point of emphasis nationally, and she does a really great job taking care of our kids, and we want you to know that we try to do whatever we can to make sure that kids are safe and able to participate in athletics, you know, in a mode where they're not in any danger. So, would you please welcome Stacy.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me here. This is going to be my second year at Putnam. See, I tend to move, and I don't like to be like. This is my second year at Putnam, so if you see me on the sidelines or sitting in my chair at the fields, that's who I am. I'm here for all of our student athletes. I will be attending all of our home, JV, and varsity games. I'm available to all of our student athletes from junior high and up. Like Mr. Garber said, I'm here to talk a little about concussions tonight. And so without further ado, my position is that I'm an athletic trainer. I'm at Northeast Regional Medical Center. We have, am I good? Technical difficulties. Oh, here we go. All right, we have a really nice sports medicine staff that we are able to work with at Northeast Regional. The orthopedic surgeon that I work with is Dr. Marbury, so it's nice that we have that with us here for our student athletes at Putnam, so we know that we can get our kids in, a lot faster than we maybe normally to get in to see an orthopedic, and there's some of the specialties that we offer there. I'm one of 3 athletic trainers that are employed and do outreach in the community. These are some of the things that we offer. Note that we do offer Saturday morning injury clinics. We will continue that once our fall sports starts. I believe it's the 23rd is the first Saturday after our football game. So that's when we'll start that, and we offer those at our rehab facility, our health and fitness center in Kirksville. But we'll get more information that we'll post in the schools, and we'll send out as well. Something that everyone's doing this year here at Putnam is we are all participating in our Impact concussion testing program. It's not to test you if you have a concussion, it just helps us to better effectively assess and then figure out our return to play protocols based on that. So it's really, really helpful for us to have that information and for all of our student athletes to take that really not fun 40-minute test. Whoops. So, concussion, type of traumatic brain injury. It's not necessarily associated with just impact. So it can be due to a hit, but it could also be due to like whiplash, things like that. So that's some of the information that we have on there, and it changes the way the brain normally works. Now we are working with junior high and high school kids, so the way their brain normally works is a little different than everybody else. So that's why we're just really aware of how someone feels based on their norm. Symptoms may not appear right away. That's why we're really aware of this, and we really want to make sure that we communicate effectively with your sons and daughters, and our student athletes with our coaches and myself. So we need to just know what's going on. It's not that we're saying we're going to pull somebody out of a game all the time. We just want to know so we can, assess and treat and then return to play accordingly. That's the biggest part with that. And everybody's symptoms are different. Oh, this is going to tell us why we're doing what we're doing. The state of Missouri passed that. We're removing an athlete if a concussion is suspected. They cannot return to that competition that day. They must be cleared by a licensed healthcare provider. I am one of those. Symptoms. So they are some of these. This is not all of them. Everybody is different. So that's the big thing that I want to emphasize when talking today, is that just because you don't have a headache, doesn't mean you may not have sustained a concussion. Everybody's threshold for getting a concussion is different, so a blow that or an impact that might cause someone else to have a concussion might not have the same impact on someone else. So that's why it's very individualized. It's how that person or how that student athlete feels. So those are just a relatively short list of some of the things we may feel. A big thing that I like to tell people is that they just don't feel like themselves, okay? They're just not feeling like themselves and some of those things, okay? We can see these be observed by parents, teachers, coaches, myself. So again, some things that may present, may not always present, and people that have had one concussion, their second concussion might be completely different than that. You know, they're more sensitive, more susceptible to having a second concussion if they've sustained a first head injury, but the second one might be completely different. So that's why, again, it's very individualized, and we really focus on the actual athlete, not just the injury of having a concussion. Again, like I was talking about, we're doing this impact test. It's not a way to test for concussions. There's no way to test for concussions. There's no diagnostic test that tells us that. This just gives us more information to help treat better, to figure out where someone's at in their recovery. So doing this now and getting all of our student athletes tested with this helps us out tremendously to treat those that have sustained a head injury. This is just a little what we look at. It helps us assess. It's just a tool that we use. When we don't use it, we only maybe see 64% of concussions. When we use it in combination with all of our other tools, we can see about 93%. So, yeah, thank you. But if you have any questions or anything for me, I'll be here. But then you can also talk with your coaches. I'm accessible to all of them, to our athletic director, Mr. Driver. And it's not just that I'm here for concussions, I'm here for everything that's sport related here at Putnam. So I'm really happy to be here again today and this school year, and thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, Steve. We feel really fortunate that Stacy's with us. She does a great job with all our student athletes. I want to take a minute just to introduce our coaching staff. We do have a few new coaches this year, so that you can recognize everybody that's on our staff. We'll go according to alphabetical, according to sport. Baseball, head coach this year will be Blaine Robinson. He'll be assisted by Matt Bailey. You guys would wave. Basketball, head girls coach is Craig Bohr. He'll be assisted this year by Matt Bailey. Junior high, head girls coach Matt Klinger, and he'll be assisted by Robin Cayley. Head boys coach this year will be Jamie Tipton, assisted by Ben Bremen. Jamie's not here tonight. Junior high head boys coach will be Aaron Fitzpatrick, assisted by Dustin Freeman. Our cheer coaches this year, Lisa Stobie will be our varsity coach, and our JV coach will be Kaylee McCollum. They're not here tonight. Junior high cheer football coach will be Lindsay Sivitz-Erteen. And doing junior high basketball cheer will be Sarah Ingersoll. There you go. Football, our head coach, happy to have back for a second year, is Dave Kavanaugh. Assistant head coach Clyde Bondi. And also assisting is Ben Brummett and Brett Kavanaugh. Our head junior high football coach is Dustin Freeman, and he'll be assisted this year by Matt Klinger. Boys golf will be Aaron Fitzpatrick, and girls golf will be Craig DeVore. Band director is Asia Whip, and she's assisted by Joe Garinger. And Asia is also in charge of choir. Softball head varsity coach is Aaron Fitzpatrick, assisted by Shannon Bain. Junior high softball will be Danielle Fitzpatrick, assisted by Shayla Criddlebaugh. Scholar Bowl is Melissa Schmidley. I don't believe she's here tonight. And track head varsity coach, boys and girls, will be Jamie Tipton, and he'll be assisted by Ben Brummett. Junior high head coach, Dustin Freeman, and Matt Klinger and Camille Preston will be working with it. Like Stacy said, the impact testing that we're initiating, that's something we're requiring this year, which is something that we haven't done in the past. The reason is we're trying to keep, your kids safe. However, if you're determined that you don't want them safe, then I do have a waiver form that you can sign. All right. However, it's in our best interest and your best interest to have that test done. We're very happy that between the two free sports physical days and free impact testing days, I believe we had about 140 students that did physicals, and Stacy, we have about 120, I think, that did the impact test. So we've had very good turnout, and we're happy that both Northeast Regional Sports and also the Putnam County Rural Health Clinic would help us out with that. So that's very appreciated on their part. So to remind you, before your student can participate in practices, they have to have a physical and they have to have the impact test. The rest of the forms that I have here tonight, they will have to have those filled out prior to the first contest date. Okay, so those don't have to be done tonight. However, I would greatly appreciate it if you got them signed and done tonight so I can start the filing process, because it's a mess. Okay, so when we leave on your way out, keep in mind there'll be a box at each door. And you can just drop that paperwork in if you've got it all filled out, drop it in that box, and then myself and my minions will start sorting through that later. Okay. Just go to a few things in our handbook on page 5. Want to remind everybody, first of all, that we're very proud of our facilities and our athletes here at Putnam County. We think we have an excellent coaching staff. And we try to do the best that we can to develop student athletes, not only physically, but mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and so on. We want to turn them into responsible individuals, okay? And athletics and activities are a great way to do that, all right? It is a privilege and not a right, and we hold our people involved in athletes, they are our ambassadors to the rest of the world. We hold them to a higher standard. All right, because they are taking people who we are and taking it out and showing it to other people. All right, so we want our best foot forward. Okay. Activity guidelines just says specific activities may demand more qualifications, but none may allow less. As far as criteria. And additional disciplinary actions not listed in this handbook may be assigned by administrators and coaches. We expect our students to be good citizens. If they can't show good citizenship, then we are not wanting them to represent our school, right? Outside of off campus, so to speak. Like I said, I am not going to read this whole thing because I'm pretty sure everyone can read. So I'm just going to pick a couple of things that we want to make sure are points of emphasis. One thing that we do want to say is We do have some, our student handbook is not out yet. We're waiting for final approval on it, but we have changed our cell phone policy. And with that, at the high school level, there's some more leniency with the use of the cell phones. But with that, you have to keep in mind that it will not be allowed. Anything that's electronic device that can take pictures will not be allowed in the locker room. And the penalty will be more severe than it has been in the past. So you can't go into the locker room with your iPhone and your headphones on and be listening to music in there. Okay? Not gonna happen. Well, it may happen once, okay? Then you're not gonna be, or twice, you'd be done with athletics, okay? So it's just not gonna happen because you get in serious trouble with any type of electronic device that is capable of taking pictures, you know, trouble that could follow you down the road for years and years into your adult life. And we're not gonna allow that to happen on our watch if at all possible. All right. The other thing I wanted to discuss with you, we hired coaches for positions. Those coaches will be in charge of determining playing time for the students in their program. All right. That's why we hired them. Okay. You know, if you think you're a better judge of who gets to play, then I suggest you go get certified and apply for the job. Okay. They work very hard for not a lot of money, and they do it because they love kids and they love what they're doing. Okay. And they're not out to get anybody. I can tell you that right now. All right. Now, if you have a problem, the steps that we want you to follow, if a student has something they want to talk to a coach about it, we want them to talk to the coach about it. Okay? Who knows more about it than the coach? All right? If the parent and the student want to talk to the coach, that's fine. If at that point in time you talk to the coach and you still think you have something you need to take to another level, then you'll come talk to me. All right? But if you come to me first, I'm going to tell you, have you talked to the coach yet? Okay, because I'm not in the practice every day. All right, the coach and the player are. All right, so it's important they have open lines of communication, and that's part of what we're trying to develop in our kids here is the ability to take responsibility for things. All right, so we expect the coach to be the first stop along that line. If I need to get involved, I'm not bashful, and I will. Okay, but the coach needs to be talked to first. All right. And I'm not going to talk to you about playing time because that's the coach's decision, as I just said. All right. Now, if you need to know what I can do to make my kid better, you know, things like that, you know, or I was hurt and the coach, you know, didn't recognize that or something like that, yes, then that's something to address, okay? But what another student's doing, why don't I start at point guard? Okay, I should be playing more. Those are not things that the coach is going to discuss. You say, Coach, what can I do to get better? Well, you need to work on your left hand. Okay, you can't dribble left. All right, that's a different conversation. Okay, that's how can I improve. All right. If you don't like what I say, then you're welcome to talk to the building principal, which, if you're in middle school, would still be me. If you're in high school, it'd be Mr. Watt, so I'll take my hat off, go around the door, come back in. But if you're in high school, it'd be Mr. Watt, and if you don't like what Mr. Watt has to say, then you can talk to Mr. Howley, okay? So, and the final step would be the school board. All right. All right. I have to bring something up. When a coach is dealing with a parent, okay, it is never appropriate to go up to a coach during the middle of a game, all right? Stay off the sidelines. If you want to talk to a coach, all right, go to the administrator on duty. We'll set up an appointment for you for the next day. Neither one of you, I can tell you one thing, as having coached myself for 14 years, as a player, you get to release energy, okay, on the sideline. As a coach, you don't. You're sitting there like that, right? And so you're all wound up by the time the game is over. Okay, the worst time to probably go, you know, get into a serious discussion, okay, because neither one of you are very rational, all right? So next day, we'd be happy to set up an appointment with you. I guarantee if you go and talk to our coaches with a civil tongue, they will respond to you in like manner, all right? Okay. I'm not going to bore you by going through anything else in this handbook, all right? Although it is all important information, and that's why hopefully you guys showed up at 6 o'clock and you read through it and you signed the stuff, okay? Like I said, I'm pretty sure you all can read it, all right? And you don't want to hear me monotone it out to you. All right? What we're going to do now is if you do have a question, I would take questions for a minute. Anybody have questions about anything specific? What I'm laying out here is the general rules for our athletic department, all right? Coaches can and usually do have more specific rules. And what we're gonna do after I finish speaking here in about a minute, okay, is the fall sports coaches are gonna break out into their sport-specific meetings, all right? Winter and spring coaches, no need for them to do that yet, okay? But fall sports coaches are gonna break out. Football, high school football will stay here in the auditorium. Girls golf, you'll go with Mr. DeVore to his room, which is middle school room 5. Varsity softball will go with Coach Fitzpatrick into the middle school library. Middle school football will go with Coach Freeman into his room, which is the middle school room 7. I know those numbers probably mean nothing to you, but if you get lost and look above the doorway, they're there, okay? Middle school cheer will go to middle school room 4, which is Mr. Bailey's room. And middle school softball will go in middle school room 1, which is Mrs. Bolt's room. Does anybody have any questions?
This and other school programs available on DVD at any building office.